anything, continue to investigate and look into it for yourselves. An abortion, in the sense that we're discussing today, is to not follow through or complete the process of pregnancy and or birthing a child. I would like to begin with a statement just to share the sentiment of Overstanding Vision, of myself, Magic, that I am politically, socially in favor of a person's ability to choose how to interact with their body and their lives. Okay, I am, however, also in favor of people being educated equitably and truthfully so that they are well aware and equipped, aware of and supported in producing the child that they may or may not be pregnant with, and furthermore, that the decision to not follow through with the pregnancy is something that is overstood by all people involved, most particularly the woman in the situation who is most crucial in this decision-making process. Would also like to add, as a young male who has lost 3 children to abortion, that the males of our society and of any given society shall be taken into consideration when looking at the emotional reaction and responses that come from the loss of a child, and when being taken seriously as our role as parents. Again, this is going to happen when we as males step up and are fathers on a very consistent and regular basis in our society and globally. And that again takes support from the people and individual support as well. Okay? Freedom of choice, as long as that choice is made in an equitable and educated fashion for abortion. Just want to let you know that abortion is an issue that goes across all class and race lines. However, within the class and race structures that establishments that we have created in the United States, there are discrepancies in education around abortion, in safety precautions in the process of abortion, and in promotion of life versus not following through with the process of birth for different racial groups and different class categories. The clip you're going to see today does focus mostly on the experience of the American black woman with education, promotion, and societal pressure around the experiences of the American black woman and abortion. This is not meant to be highlighting just black American women to be exclusive. It's only meant to highlight a group, a demographic, a nation that has been sorely undervalued and ignored. Very relevant to all of us, however, male or female, man or woman. The reality is, and this will come up again in the film, okay, is that since 1973, okay, legal abortion has killed more African Americans than AIDS, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and violent crime combined. Every week, more blacks die in American abortion clinics than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. And the largest chain of abortion clinics in the United States is operated by Planned Parenthood. I'm not making this shit up. I didn't even think this shit up. I came across it, and it's my duty to share the voice of our people and the stories of our people. Take a look, enjoy, and remember, all matter moves.
eugenic and civilization value of birth control is becoming apparent to the enlightened and the intelligent. The campaign for birth control is not merely of eugenic value, but is practically identical in ideal with the final aim of eugenics. Margaret Sanger, 1921.
In her autobiography, Margaret Sanger wrote about a speech she gave in 1926 at a Ku Klux Klan rally in Silver Lake, New Jersey. The Planned Parenthood founder bragged about the fact that afterward, she was invited by 12 other Klan chapters to speak at their events.
At about the same time the American Birth Control League was changing its name to Planned Parenthood, a lot of books and reports began coming out that attempted to put a happy face on eugenics. And many of them were written by people that were associated with Planned Parenthood. The strategy here was obvious. Since the Nazis had turned eugenics into a four-letter word, the American eugenics movement decided it was time to lay low. So most of their writings during this time period downplayed the role of eugenics and couched their agenda in terms of helping the African American. Perhaps the best example of this is a 1,500-page book by eugenicist Gunnar Myrdal called An American Dilemma, The Negro Problem in Modern Democracy.
Commonly, it is considered a great misfortune for America that Negro slaves were ever imported. The presence of Negroes in America today is usually considered a plight of the nation. Chapter 7, page 167. All white Americans agree that if the Negro is to be eliminated, he must be eliminated slowly, so as not to hurt any living individual Negroes. Chapter 7, page 168. The only way possible of decreasing Negro population is by means of controlling fertility. Chapter 7, page 170. Birth control facilities could be extended relatively more to Negroes than to whites, since Negroes are more concentrated in the lower income and education classes. Chapter 7, page 176.
One of the places where government money has been used to advance the eugenics agenda has been in the public school system. Although government-funded population control programs can be found in white schools, the evidence is that they are significantly more likely to be targeted at black schools.
One example of this was seen in 1986, when it was discovered that Illinois public schools were not only distributing birth control to children, but that every one of the 50 facilities involved were in minority neighborhoods. When this information was made public, a local African-American pastor organized a campaign to stop the program. Reverend Hiram Crawford labeled the project genocide, saying that the obvious goal was to go after the Hispanic and black population.
That same pattern was also found in Maryland in the 1990s. Even though the state's teen pregnancy rate was higher among white students than black students, when the contraceptive device Norplant was introduced, it was selectively marketed to children as young as 13 in predominantly black schools in Baltimore. The result was that of the first 350 girls implanted at a local middle school, 345 were African American. Then, when Norplant was approved for general distribution, of the first 100 schools selected, all 100 were in minority neighborhoods.
The Norplant contraception device was developed by the Population Council in New York, which had been established in 1952 under the leadership of its president, John Rockefeller. Its next two presidents, Frederick Osborne and Frank Notestein, were both former members of the American Eugenics Society, and Notestein would later serve on the National Advisory Council of Planned Parenthood. Since 1973, legal abortion has killed more African Americans than AIDS, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and violent crime combined. Every week, more blacks die in American abortion clinics than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. And the largest chain of abortion clinics in the United States is operated by Planned Parenthood.
We have now reached a point in this country that African American women, though they make up 12% of the population, they account for 37% of the abortions. An African American baby is almost 5 times more likely to be aborted than a white child. The abortion industry at this point kills as many African American people every 4 days as the Klan killed in 150 years. And you can truly say the most dangerous place for an African American to be is in the womb of their African American mother.
Birth control and abortion are turning out to be the great eugenic advances of our time. Frederick Osborne, founding member of the American Eugenics Society, 1973.
The best way to hate a nigger is to hate him before he is born. Leander Perez, Louisiana State Judge, 1970.
So, now you've seen the reality, the complexity of the circumstances for American black women when it comes to childbirthing, and an approach to a neo approach to the extermination of black and brown people. Again, post-eugenics movements of the Nazi Hitler era, where eugenics was used for, to my knowledge, for the first time for negative purposes, to limit the potential of human life rather than to promote the existence or the evolution of it. Okay? Suggestions? I suggest that initially we, as black and brown American people, we step up and work hard on re-educating and reconditioning our young black women to realize that they are queens and goddesses, okay, and that they are able to have self-determination to make legitimate choices about their well-being and their body, okay? For this to be a reality, we must actively be present as men and women in the black and brown community in America, and we must be supportive, okay? And not just through public programming or social programming. We need to be supportive on an individual, one-to-one basis. People, young black and brown people, need to see us as adults binding together, supporting each other, raising our children if we have estranged parents out there, supporting women who do get pregnant in our communities, and offering them options and opportunities, okay, to produce that child if that's where their heart is. And to keep in mind that if people's heart is not in the process of producing that child for whatever personal reason, we do not pass judgment, and we sit back, we hold hands, we let tears drop upon shoulders, okay? And we support each other as a community. Because taking a village to raise a family does not start at childbirth. It is an everlasting principle and concept that revolves forward in this process of progression that has been deemed evolution. So let's evolve, brothers and sisters. Let's stand up, support each other, support these young black and brown women out here that are trying their best, support the young black and brown men, okay, in finding employment so that there is financial stability, okay, and getting emotional support so that they're okay and confident and able to produce, okay, stoicism and consistency in their parenting as men and as women in our society. And let's make this choice of whether or not to follow through with the process of creating human life. Let's make this choice an actual, equitable, conscious, and knowledgeable decision that is made on the part of black and brown men and women in America. Let's be an example to the world, baby. Let's do this. Remember, all power to the people.